debt deal imposes new work requirements for food aid, and that frustrates many Democrats. Democrats are deeply conflicted about the food aid requirements that President Joe Biden negotiated as part of the debt ceiling deal, fearing damage has been done to safety net programs that will be difficult to unravel in the years ahead as Republicans demand further cuts. The White House and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Republican California, focused their negotiations on toughening the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs, SNAP, job requirements until the very end. It was the largest point of contention, as both sides' negotiators made plain in public and in private, and it nearly caused the discussions to collapse multiple times. Ultimately, Democrats reluctantly agreed to trade some able-bodied consumers of food aid for tougher criteria. Republicans concurred to remove some labor requirements for homeless individuals, veterans, and other groups. A compromise that satisfied both sides was reached as a consequence of the contentious back and forth, but many Democrats struggled over whether to support the package that Biden signed on Saturday. Many people found it difficult to reconcile restricting food access for disadvantaged groups with a result that prevented the United States from going into financial default. Representative Cori Bush, D-Mo, said, "We then turned around and made our most vulnerable communities default in order for this country to not default on its bills." Years before she was elected to Congress, Bush's then-husband, 2 small children, and she lived in a car after being evicted from their rental home. The federal assistance program offers low-income people and families monthly funding, often as little as $6 per day, to enable them to purchase groceries. According to the Food and Nutrition Service of the Department of Agriculture, which oversees the program, it is the largest program in the nation aimed at preventing hunger, with 41 million people utilizing benefits to buy food last year alone. By 2025, able-bodied persons who are 49 to 54 years old without dependents will be subject to additional criteria. If those people choose to receive SNAP benefits for longer than 3 months during a 3-year period, they must work or attend training programs for at least 80 hours per month. Despite several studies showing they have no effect on employment, Republicans have attempted for decades to increase work requirements for these government aid programs, saying that doing so leads to more individuals returning to the workforce. "We are going to return these programs to being a life vest, not a lifestyle. A hand up, not a handout, and that has always been the American way," Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana, the vice chair of the House Republican Conference, told reporters. The White House countered that Republican proposition by getting GOP lawmakers to waive the work requirements for new groups, veterans, individuals who are homeless or facing housing instability, and youth aging out of foster care, to balance out the number of people who would now be facing these new restrictions. The end result could be more people receiving SNAP benefits overall. An estimate from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office released Tuesday said that the changes in the debt ceiling package would add almost 80,000 people to the rolls of SNAP in an average month. But the trade-off of seemingly helping some groups while hurting others still left the left flank of the Democratic Party, lawmakers who have supported Biden and helped pass his agenda for the first 2 years of his term, frustrated by the outcome. That was especially the case as advocates, including the nonpartisan National Alliance to End Homelessness, warned of a disturbing trend across the country of an increase in the number of older adults who are becoming homeless, some for the first time. "What we should not be playing is Oppression Olympics," Bush said. "Like which one gets to hurt today? Which one gets to get to that finish line to hurt today? That's not where we should be as a society." Bush, a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, voted no on the debt limit deal on Wednesday night after she spent days hearing from advocate groups and constituents on the issue. "I think it's important that Biden understands that it's good for us to have a strong no vote because this isn't a deal that he would have made if we hadn't been held hostage," Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal of Washington State, chair of the Progressive Caucus, told the Associated Press this past week. They weren't alone. Several dozen Democrats in the House and a handful in the Senate voted against the compromise, arguing that the bill allowed for Republican hostage-taking and could open the door for future cuts to these government programs in the next several months. "I did not agree to these SNAP restrictions, and I won't give Republicans an opening to try and take food from more food-insecure Americans in Farm Bill negotiations later this year," Senator John Fetterman, DPA, said in a statement. The White House and Democrats who ended up supporting the negotiated deal said they believe the issue of work requirements and risk posed by Republicans have been put to bed. "The most important thing to me is the fact that this closes the door on that debate," said Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, who leads the Senate Agriculture, Nutrition and Forestry Committee and has been a longtime champion and defender of the SNAP program. "We are not going to bring it up again in the Farm Bill. This is not something that's going to be renegotiated. It's done." But advocates warn that could change because the debt limit bill was the most substantial change of the work rules for food aid and other government assistance programs since they were put into place in the 1996 welfare overhaul. Some of the most conservative Republicans in Congress, part of the right flank whom McCarthy had to pacify to become Speaker, have criticized the plan for being weak and are itching to go even further to clamp down on these programs. "In this bill, we have temporary work requirements, but we've added permanent new exceptions," said Texas Representative Keith Self, a member of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus that overwhelmingly rejected the bill. "That, ladies and gentlemen, is a sleight of hand.